Hello and welcome to the weekly wrap with the USA Liberalists. I'm Cody and we're here with Jordan today.
Hello.
Today we are going to be talking a little bit about the greatest conspiracy of all time, RussiaGate. See, if we were a little more on the ball, we would have like an echoey voice when I said that.
Yeah, we're still apparently from last week. There was a problem with OBS that neither of us know exactly what happened. So,
Yeah, I cut the stream kind of in half and only published like 30 minutes of it. But anyway, we'll figure it out.
yes,
We'll get better at this.
slowly but surely.
Then you can start being proud of telling your friends about it.
That's right. I had a patriotic cat on last week.
That was great.
It was.
Go back and I was actually listening to it, and it was actually interesting. I was actually interested in what we were saying. Sounds a little conceited, but I thought it was cool, and I liked the layout and everything, and it looked good. It just felt like we kept losing connection a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is why we need to do the weekly meeting, so we don't do it in the middle of the stream.
Right.
But yeah, we're going to keep working on it. It will improve. We just we need to figure it out a little bit. But yeah, that's why we're doing this now.
Yeah, you guys get to watch our evolution. It'll be great.
That's right. You get to slowly watch us figure out what we're doing. I feel like we're a couple of boomers trying to figure this shit out.
What is this internet?
Exactly. It's a series of tubes. No one understands it.
No, with us, though, what you guys need to know is that we both have full-time jobs and lives, and I have my wife's business that she runs out of our home, so
no excuse.
That takes a lot of time away, but
no excuse.
We also could be better at setting time aside to do this kind of stuff, and that's what we're going to do going forward. So
yeah, that's the main thing. The thing we talked about today, where Cody finally agreed with me that we need to actually like weekly meetings, like off stream, where we talk to each other and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, schedule a time.
Right. Instead of it just being us occasionally talking over Facebook and being like, hey, these are the stories that we want to talk about. Let's do it.
All right. So we're also going to talk a little bit about how awful AOC is, which is
at least according to the American people,
which is always great.
Like everybody knows that we don't like AOC. Now we know that no one else does either. It's fantastic.
We're in the majority there.
Woo! Yeah.
We're going to talk about Trump and the southern border closure threat, I guess. And then some Chick-fil-A restaurants are being shut down.
We got some creepy Joe Biden news. Creepy Uncle Joe.
Creepy Joe.
And so all those poor Mexican countries that aren't getting any more aid. Oh, those poor Mexican countries.
We'll talk about that with the southern border thing, I think.
Especially socialist Mexico, like that one needs some help.
Yeah. We don't want to send them money. They just don't know what to do with it.
I mean, true. What about soccer Mexico? You think they deserve some money?
Yes, they provide service. Okay, well, we'll start with the greatest conspiracy ever, RussiaGate.
Is it just me, or is RussiaGate quickly turning into like, you remember the Obama birther conspiracy that just wouldn't die for like Obama's entire first presidency? It just wouldn't fucking go away, and everybody's just, all the normal people are just looking around at each other like, are we really? We look stupid right now.
Right. Yeah, it was like, when I first heard it, I thought, well, that can't be true. Like, they have to do some sort of checking on him.
Yeah,
you know?
You would think that the FBI would have a pretty good idea of who the president is. You know? Like, you would think that the government, like, I know the government agencies are corrupt and they're stupid a lot of the times, but if there's one thing they're really good at, it's dossiers. Let's be real.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you can be assured that your government knows, it's where you were born, who you talk to, what your phone number is, where you live. Like, they've got a full write-up on all of us, including Obama. I promise.
Yep.
The whole thing, it was dumb. And this is the same shit all over again. And then, because you saw the story about the one that just came out today, where it's like, well, I mean, we heard a person that talked to a person that talked to an investigator, maybe, in Mueller's investigative team, said that they didn't like what Barr said. And I'm like, okay.
We're reporting on whispered rumors right now.
Seriously, like,
apparently the level of journalism.
Like, I don't even know that anybody in the investigative team actually said that.
Yeah, they're all unnamed.
I know. Well, this is like a fourth-hand account at this point, and I'm like, so I'm expected to believe that you guys have a factual account of a fourth-hand reported story. Right.
Yeah.
Even if it is accurate, all you're saying is that some of the staffers or the investigators weren't pleased with Barr's, announcement. And
the story I read, it was like there were 3 people who didn't agree with what Barr's conclusion.
Of course, half of the fucking investigative team are like anti-Trump, foaming at the mouth crazies.
I was thinking, well, if only 3 of them out of the 19 lawyers that he had with him didn't agree with it,
that's a good point.
Then they're in the minority there.
I mean, I'm sure there's more of them, but I think most of them. Look, for all the flaws that Mueller has, right? For all the flaws he has, he clearly is at least a competent investigator. At the end of all this, I probably wouldn't have said that a month ago, but looking at the situation and how he's handled himself once he came to the conclusion that there wasn't enough to indict with, he shut up. He let it go and was like, all right, look, guys, I tried.
Yeah.
Okay, that's respectable. I can deal with that.
Well, and he's proven in the past that he's not shy about coming out and saying, no, you're lying about this.
Right.
Because that happened before when somebody said,
the BuzzFeed story.
Yeah, the BuzzFeed story, when they were like...
Although I can't help but wonder if... he kind of... It's one of those situations where someone did make a good point that regardless of what BuzzFeed reported, if Mueller has to either come out and say BuzzFeed is incorrect or, yes, we have a leak, it kind of just puts Mueller between a rock and a hard place of either having to lie or admit that he has a leak. Both are bad. Yeah. And in his position, I might choose lie just because, like, I really can't have my investigation compromised. I'd rather do an internal investigation and be like, get the fuck out to whoever is leaking shit. But, yeah.
Obviously, you haven't read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Because you're supposed to always tell the truth or at least don't lie.
Oh, my God. Thanks, Mom.
That's right. I was reading that on the plane today.
No, it's good advice. It's just when we're talking about high-level politics, I mean, sometimes
this is the real world.
I'm not saying it's good to lie. It's not, but in his position, that's a tough position. I don't know what I would do if that's what happened. We don't know. No one has any information about. That's the problem with the BuzzFeed story in the first place. There's no way to verify it except through Mueller, and Mueller says they're wrong. And we'll find out in a couple of weeks, won't we? When the whole when the thing gets redacted to a satisfactory level, to Mueller's satisfaction and Barr's satisfaction, and then we all get to see whatever's left. Hopefully, quite a bit. And we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, they're hinging this conspiracy theory on the fact that Barr is suppressing information. But Barr and Mueller are both working on the report to redact legally what they're required to redact.
Yeah, even the people that were saying that they're not happy, the ones that were comfortable publicly saying they're not happy with what's happening, as far as like what Barr is saying, even they're admitting from a legal standpoint, we don't technically have enough to indict. I mean, I guess we can't impeach him, but we could at least call him a shitface. Like,
Well, it's just
what am I supposed to work with here? Like, at this point, I almost want them to have something, because it's becoming sad. It really is. I kind of want them to get like some sort of win so that they have some out to be like, yeah, I guess we weren't total idiots, because it's becoming sad. It really is.
Well, the whole time, like whenever I talk to any of my more progressive friends or anything about this, it's, oh, look at all these indictments around him. Look, he's got to be guilty. He's got to be guilty. All these people have been indicted. And it's always been, well, yeah, they've been indicted on shit they did outside of the campaign, like lying to the FBI or avoiding paying taxes, and just stuff that didn't
ancillary
apply.
crimes. That you know what? You know what? No, A+ to Mueller for finding those crimes. Because when it comes to someone breaking the law, especially if they're in a position of power, A+, go after it. I'm totally fine with that. But you can't then say these secondary crimes that he only found because he was investigating collusion, but have nothing to do with collusion, then prove collusion. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't follow.
When people made those arguments, they were just like surface arguments. It was like, well, these people got into legal trouble, therefore, and Trump's associated with them, therefore Trump's going to be in legal trouble too. It's like, well, you still have to prove that.
I've got a cousin that was like cooking meth. Does that mean?
Yeah, right.
Do I have a meth lab in the back now? No, not how that works.
Well, and that just, to me, that kind of screams the far left.
Well, this
whole philosophy even.
It screams desperation. Where they don't have anything to actually talk about, so they just sort of skirt around it, and it's so annoying.
Well, and it's like they do like a surface level. They just have faith in the media. Like they worship the media almost. The media said it, so it must be true.
Oh my! It's so frustrating. Like this constant just. Well, I mean, I read an article on it, and they're not going to lie. I literally, this is completely.
There was a study.
Well, no. Well, yes, that happens too. Where it's like, did you know there was a study? And I'm like, did you know there was a study that says the exact opposite? And they're like, well, I mean, but my study says the opposite. So
it says what I like, so it must be true.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so there's two studies. One says what you like, therefore yours is true. What? Help!
Yeah.
Help!
What are you doing? It's the confirmation bias that gets me.
And like every single time I talk to them, and I'm just like, okay, so what's the name of the study? Because if I'm going to quote a study, it's because I've read it. Mm-hmm. If I haven't read the study, like I might use some of the statistics in a broad sense. Because, I mean, typically speaking, the general statistics most studies put out are good. Like, they are actually accurate. They might be completely gerrymandered, but the literal statistics in the strictest sense of what they're putting out is typically accurate.
Well, have you ever heard the saying, there are three kinds of lies, that there are lies, damn lies, and statistics?
Well, I mean, I think the easiest way to frame that for people is if someone just gives you a statistic but doesn't have any context for it, assume they don't know what they're talking about. Because they probably don't. Right. Almost every single, like, statistics without context might as well be lies. They may not be intending for it to be a lie. They may not understand that they're lying. But they probably are.
Well, they're repeating a lie.
Right. Well,
they didn't come up with a lie, so they have less. I think they have less culpability.
That's the worst part. It might not even actually be a lie. They might just be stupid. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had someone quote a statistic to me, quote a study that the statistic came from, and then I go read the study, and it says the exact fucking opposite of what they said that it said. Right. Like, it literally says the direct opposite. And I go back to them, and I'm like, this study you linked me says you're wrong. Here's where it says you're wrong. And they're like, well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, but this is your study. Yeah. You gave me this.
God exactly.
God damn it.
And it's like, you can use statistics. It's the conclusions people draw from the statistics. Like,
exactly.
Like I don't know if this was true or not, but it was a meme for like half a second, but it was 1 in 4 homeless people are women. It's like, oh my God, that's awful. But then if you like actually think about it for more than a second, it's like, well, then 3 in 4 homeless people are men.
Yeah.
That seems like there are more homeless men than women.
Yeah.
So
But
how
it's
can this be oppressive to women?
yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, it just kind of speaks to a certain section of the population that really doesn't have any empathy for men, like at all,
Yeah.
like none. Which, look, I get
Well,
it for
they've
like
bought in. They've bought into the idea that men have always had it better than women.
I can't help but wonder if they've actually bought in, or if this is like a confirmation bias thing where they just kind of don't like men in general, and now they have an excuse. Now they've got this set of reasons where it's like, no, it's okay that you hate men for all these reasons.
No, I know plenty of like nice, like they're the progressive women that are just, oh, you have to be nice to everybody, and so they've bought into the whole, well, women have had it harder than men. I'm like, well, yes, in some aspects. Like my whole thing is like, yeah, women have had it harder than men in some aspects, but if you're looking at like men have been kings and politicians and have lawmakers. Not all, like that's a small percentage of men even.
Yeah, I really want some of these, and also just as a side point, it's a real shocker. A progressive woman that never had to struggle for anything thinks women had it worse.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
man, someone ring the shock bell. I'm currently being electrocuted. But anyway, um, I really just want some of these people to go take a walk in some of these men's shoes, like even modern men. Like, because don't get me wrong, men in America right now have it better than we ever have.
Yeah.
Seriously, in many ways. The same. It's also true for women, and I know some people would say it's even more true for women, but that doesn't change the fact that as it currently stands, for the entire population of America, this is the best it's ever been.
Right.
And some people might say that's sad, but hey, man, it's silver
Could be
linings, right?
worse.
Could be worse. Could be worse. Silver linings, right? And I wish some of them would actually go interact with some of these men that they're deriding. Like, oh, you're just poor and uneducated. Go talk to a fucking like sewer worker. Go live his life for a day, and come back and seriously tell me that he's more privileged. Like, come the fuck on.
Yeah.
Just give me a break, dude. I'm so tired of this. Are you listening to the stream?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I was like, I've been put on mute in favor of the previous stream.
No. I was trying to see if we had anybody in the live chat, but
Oh, I got you. But
yeah, like they fixate on the very tiny minority percentage of men who have it really well and just assume that that's how all men have it. If those
yeah,
men had it better, they're part of this class known as men, and therefore men have it better than women. And the only reason that men have it better than women is because men throughout time have oppressed women. Like that's their worldview, and I can't get behind that. Like it's just wrong.
I would love someone to do a study directly on hardcore feminists that actually legitimately hold these beliefs. And I want to do like a study on how many of them have brothers and fathers. Because I can't help but notice the way that they seem to address men, treat men, talk about men, think about men seems to be this very, very, very low resolution abstraction of what men are. And it's like, how many men do you actually know? Seriously, like, and I know that sounds like a stupid question because, like, obviously, men are 50% of the population. You're going to find a lot of men, but I can't help but wonder if they're just interacting with the worst elements. Because unfortunately for men, the worst among us also happen to usually be the loudest. That's just sort of the way it is.
Yeah.
Because the ones that are the worst out of us are going to be the most obnoxious. We're going to be the loudest. We're going to be the ones starting fights. We're going to be the ones that go up to the woman and be like, "Hey, baby, you look fine." And when she says no, you're like, "Whatever, bitch. You're ugly anyway." Because that does happen. Like, don't
Whatever,
like
ho.
exactly that sort of shit. That sort of just awful behavior.
Yeah, I got into this sort of argument with my brother a while back. When he was in the Marines and then he came home on leave, and I was, I was a single guy and in my early 20s, and I was telling him about, I kind of got into the pickup artist stuff.
Oh God.
Yeah. Hey man, I dabbled in a little bit of everything, man.
Some of the stuff they have is worthwhile, but so many of those guys just turn into douchebags.
Yeah, a lot of them are just creepers. But for me, like when I first got into it, it was just all about being able to meet chicks because I had like zero confidence in that realm.
That is one thing I actually do like about PUAs. That they give guys confidence. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I fell into the trap of, well, in order to bolster my confidence, I had to tear down women. Like I fell into that trap. And so I was telling my brother about, women are just stupid and they want guys to be jerks to them. And like I had that mindset, and I had that mindset because I was frustrated with my results in that area. And instead of looking at myself and saying, what can I do to make myself better, which is actually something the PUA stuff kind of taught me to do a little bit.
Yeah, they do that.
And like I had that kind of like idea in high school because my friends weren't really good with girls. We were all kind of nerdy magic card playing guys.
Yeah, that attitude's just kind of like it's a childish attitude that you grow out of, hopefully.
Yeah, and so I was telling him about it, and then he was arguing with me about, I think it was during the Kavanaugh thing, and he brought it back up like, you just think all women are stupid bitches and they all just want men to be jerks to them, and I was so appalled and offended by that, and I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up, man. Like I thought that when I was in my 20s, maybe it wasn't what I actually believed, and it's definitely not what I actually believe now, but maybe I was just upset because I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to me that some of these ideas get totally dismissed because, like, the idea that women just love jerks, right? It's a very, very common idea, and it's kind of obvious why. It's because you walk around, and the guys that are complete dickheads tend to have a lot of women. But it's when the nerds look at it, they see he's a dickhead and he gets chicks, therefore he gets chicks because he's a dickhead, and it's like, no. The dickhead gets chicks because he's confident. They like the confidence. They like that he pays attention to himself. He's self-aware. He knows how to dress. He knows what like colognes to wear. He knows where to take her. He's probably got a little bit of money, so he can actually take her out. He might have a car. Like, it's all of these different things that might lead him to become a dickhead. But the dickhead thing is the part they don't like.
Right.
That's the part they don't like. Like, if the women could just take that and just extract that out and leave everything else, they would.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that I learned reading those books and everything was something that stuck out to me was they said, okay, make a to-do list. And they said it, not a who, but a what. So don't make a who you want to do list, make a what you want to do list, and don't put anything to do with women on the list.
Oh, so it's like a self-improvement list.
Yeah, it was like, basically they were saying, clean your room, like, to use the modern Jordan Peterson reference. Change your wardrobe. Don't wear the same stuff you were wearing in high school. Like, get nice shoes, like get your car washed, clean your house, like clean your bathroom, like comb your hair, brush your teeth.
Yeah. Take a bath every now and again. Get your hair cut. Eat a salad every now and again. Exactly.
Find something that you love to do that has nothing to do with meeting women and do that. Like, become a person.
Half of the PUA stuff you're describing to me just sounds like, I don't know, Self-help?
Yeah, I think half of it is, but there is a lot of like crap out there that's just like, oh, these are the techniques that you're gonna get to get laid every night. And it's like, yeah, avoid that stuff. I would say.
Hey, Matt, you know what? Technically speaking, a lot of they're not actually wrong. It's just it's kind of like learning door-to-door salesman tactics. Do they
Yeah.
work? Yes.
Well, yeah, it was.
Should you use them? No.
They said that you have to. You'll get 100 no's and 1 yes.
Exactly.
So you
It's
might
the
as well
salesman strategy.
just go get all the no's. Just get it all out of
Exactly.
the way.
It's the door-to-door salesman strategy. You'll never make the sale you don't ask for, so ask for every sale.
Right.
And eventually that sale turns into you just got laid.
Well, and then part of it too, looking back at it now, was I was so terrified to go speak to the women, like a woman
Sure.
at like a bar or a party or something, that I built it up in my head and I would just wait, and then I would just come across as like nervous or creepy or just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Where they faced me to kind of, or the pickup artist stuff kind of forces you to confront that fear and actually just go and do it badly,
Yeah.
you know. And then you kind of get over it and kind of figure out like, well, even if they reject me or they don't want to talk to me or don't want to go out on a date or anything, I'm not going to die from that. It's not
Dude,
as bad as you think.
Dude, I swear to God, I kind of want to start like a self-help class where I just get like a bunch of like average looking women together and just, set up a little nonprofit where all we do is we bring in a whole bunch of guys from high school and all they do is get rejected in like a somewhat safe environment where you can have like women on the side being like, okay, this is what you did wrong. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Do this instead. You didn't do that bad. Just, fix your shit, basically.
They would have to be
in a way that guys can actually
aware.
understand, because it is intimidating for a lot of guys to try and get out there, and it's just like, no, 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 no.
Well,
Go fuck yourself.
Even
without knowing what's wrong.
I don't know how much that would work because I don't think a lot of women exactly know what they want either.
No, but that's why I'm saying I'd like to form like a core of women that would help me that would sit down with me and like go over
it through.
Yeah, like think it through, go over what the men are doing and be like, okay, the reason that this, because I mean, yes, no one strategy is going to work, but there are definitely a lot of strategies that will not work.
Right.
Walking up to a woman and if she says no, calling her a bitch to her face and then storming off, you're not getting laid.
Doesn't work.
That does not work. Let me just go ahead and throw that one out there. That one, no one likes that.
You might get beat up too.
Yes, seriously, because you don't know who she's there with, and I know a lot of gay guys that are quite large and will beat the shit out of you for talking shit to their friends. And quite frankly, if you're pulling that shit, deservedly so. Because I swear to God, all my female friends have stories like this, and I'm just like, my God.
Yeah.
Some guys are fucking stupid. And unfortunately, they're the loudest ones, so they think just guys in general are like that. And I'm like, no, for fuck's sake.
Well, it's the reason I said that they don't always know what they want is because I would always listen to what they want in like high school, and I talked to some of my female acquaintances and talked to them about, well, I got a crush on this girl, like, what do I do? And they're like, oh, you're such a nice guy, like, be a nice guy. It's like, well, to me, I was being a nice guy, but nice isn't the right word. You don't want to be nice, but you don't
nice isn't really a selling point.
You don't want to be a jerk either.
No, because it's really not about, as far as I can tell, it has nothing to do with nice or mean, because again, the dickhead does get the chicks. But
right. That's where that kind of came from for me is
right.
It's nice, and look at this jerk getting all these girls.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it just doesn't translate that way. Because if you're a dickhead and you still have no confidence, then you're just a sleazy loser, and you still have no chicks.
Well, it was just that the words that were being used were wrong.
Right. Because in that case, because the problem, like, this is something I actually tell all my female friends. If a guy says, I'm just a nice guy, fucking run. The dude is psycho. Like, or at least 9 times out of 10, the dude's psycho. There's something wrong. Dude's a loser, most likely. And that's not, and I know there's a whole lot of teenage guys. This doesn't really apply to young guys. This more applies to like grown men that are still saying this shit.
Yeah.
Because if you're a grown man still saying, I'm such a nice guy, oh my God. Something went wrong, because nice, what they're actually pinging on is you're kind of useless.
Right.
But you're kind of like, you're a sweet person, but you don't really have a personality. Usually, you don't really have any confidence. You don't have anything going on for you. It's just, oh, well, you're so nice. It's like, well, great, but you're only nice because nothing's happened to you yet. You haven't. There's no meat on you. There's nothing there.
Right. You don't have nice isn't virtuous.
No, nice is empty. When it comes to men, nice means just empty. You're a blank slate. You could be anything. You haven't been tested yet.
Well, yeah, and it also kind of means that you're not tough either. True. You can't take on the world.
True, but that's not
how I read it. I mean,
but I mean,
my bias.
Maybe, but it also seems like, because most chicks I know, they don't seem to really care how nice you are. It seems to be like an ancillary thing, unless they're just a little hood ratty. Maybe just a little bit, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I've met some awesome chicks from some of the not nice part of towns, and they're cool, but they definitely like guys that are tougher.
Yeah.
Outside of that, most chicks don't seem to really care as much. It's more, do you have a personality? Do you have something going on? Does she at least not have to pay for you? Do you have a car?
Exactly.
Can
you take care of yourself? Do you?
Right. Can you take care of yourself? Are you interesting? Can you be funny? You got those 3 things, you'll get chicks.
When I was a lot younger, it was, oh, I have to have a girlfriend or something like that. I was pinning so much, because I read a lot. So I read like Shakespeare and like poetry. You go through that phase in high school. Totally went through that phase.
Don't get me talking about my middle school poetry, please.
And we'll do a stream like that later.
Oh my God, please no. Should we just start writing some edgy poetry?
Oh, I already got it, man.
Oh, good. I lost mine. Kept quote unquote. Mine's lost to history. No one knows where it went.
When I die, people are going to find volumes of shit that I wrote, and it's just like, today I did this. Da, 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 da.
The darkness in my heart cannot be Satan.
Yeah. No, not that bad. But anyway,
it was bad. This was like edgy shit. This was like when I was 13. By the way, are we ever actually going to talk about the news, or is this going to be a PUA stream?
No, well, let me just get this point out, and then we'll go back to RussiaGate.
Sorry.
So I was putting so much emphasis on you have to have a girl, and that it's super, like, that was the most important thing to me.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's kind of like the whole, like, well, you got to kind of let that go in order to get that, essentially. You got to make that sacrifice. Like, that's not the most important thing to you. The most important thing to you is that you take care of yourself, and that you're not dependent on somebody else for your existence. Because women do not want that. They don't want to be your reason for existence. That's what children are for.
Right.
So they don't want to date overgrown children.
Basically.
So talking about overgrown children, RussiaGate. Rachel Maddow
still won't let it go. Nobody's shocked.
She announced was today. Where are my notes? There they are. Rachel Maddow announced that there's going to be a RussiaGate protest demanding
that was today, wasn't it?
Release of the full report and all underlying evidence.
I could have sworn the Rachel Maddow RussiaGate protest was actually today. Let me just.
Oh, was it?
I thought so, Maddow.
I've been out of the news cycle all week. It's kind of been great.
Wasn't it? Let's see. Let's have a look at this.
I didn't see any stories about these massive movements, and so either it hasn't happened yet, or nobody actually showed up.
I mean, would anybody be surprised either way?
No. It doesn't really seem that important. But they had planned protests in cities all over the country. So like New York, there were even some in Alaska.
Yeah, I tried looking it up, and all I got was a video of Tim Pool talking about Rachel Maddow's RussiaGate conspiracy protests. So maybe it hasn't happened yet. I feel like we'd have more reporting if it had, especially from Rachel fucking Maddow.
Well, yeah, if it were successful, there'd be way more reporting on it. Maybe if it happened, I didn't, because I watched that Tim Pool video, but I didn't write down when.
Yeah, I could have sworn it was today. Maybe I'm mistaken and it's happening in a day or two, or maybe next week. But who knows? We'll find out.
So if you see a bunch of people screaming at the sky in your city, don't be alarmed. So if you live in the city, that's probably the least of your worries. You got to worry about those guys in the black masks, man. They'll fuck you up.
Yeah, seriously, they will.
You gotta pack heat. But then you go to jail if you pull your gun to defend yourself. At least in my city.
What is this? Stephen F. Cohen, forget RussiaGate. Intelgate is the real scandal. Someone in the CIA running an op against Trump. Oh, this is okay. This is never mind. This is real clear. Wait, this is real clear politics running this?
Sounds correct to me.
Running an op against Trump. Huh. I might have to read this later. Maybe this is something we'll report on next week.
Yes.
Because this sounds important.
Send the link in the...
Yeah, I'll send it over
chat,
so you can
we can both read it. If we have time at the end today, we can probably go through it. But
yeah, otherwise we'll just have to save it for next week because I suspect this particular stream is going to go a little long.
Let's talking about the wrong way to pick up chicks. Joe Biden.
Holy shit!
That was a good
creepy
segue.
Uncle Joe. Yeah, no, I liked it. Creepy Uncle Joe. My favorite.
Don't watch Joe Biden and then don't do what he does.
Okay, so I need to like break out my PUA tactics real quick. Here's a list of don'ts. Don't grab women by the back from their shoulders and then shove your face in their hair.
Right.
This is not a good tactic. Now, the whole like putting his forehead to the other girl's forehead and then looking deeply in their eyes as you whisper to them, not actually a bad tactic. Like if it's a little later in the night, you've already had a few drinks, you've been talking together, maybe not so bad. If you're meshing really well, okay, that can be a good connection point where something she can remember about you. Maybe not something you should lead with, Joe. Maybe just like wait a little bit, take her to dinner first. Before you go to a 14-year-old girl, just saying.
You mean just walking up to women and like touching them,
nearly making out with them? Not a great idea. No, it's not actually.
And then trying to touch your forehead to theirs, and then smelling their hair. That's not okay?
No.
Oh shit! I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah, walking up behind girls that aren't expecting you, and just like giving them a little massage in the shoulder and whispering in their ear when they're not expecting it. Bad idea. It's a kind of a bad move. It's kind of one of like those douche bro moves that, some younger guys think is going to be like, oh, she's going to love it because she's going to be like, oh my God, the massage feels so good. And then she turns out to hate it. And you're just like, what the fuck? I was giving you a massage.
Women love massages. So if I give
bitches love massages. So when she doesn't like it, it must mean that she's just a hoe. And you should that's actually step 2 of this plan. First, massage her shoulders. Second, grab her by the pussy, and she's all yours.
Yeah,
it's all over.
The guys
these are terrible ideas.
Who actually think that have been watching too much pornography.
Seriously, please don't do this. Holy shit.
Not real life. Okay, guys?
Yeah, seriously. No dick in the box. No.
Right.
No dick in the pizza box. No, just like sneaking in on your stepsister while she's in the shower and being like, "Hey, baby, look how big my dick is."
Oh, no, women don't like that shit at all. Stop it.
I mean, it depends if your name is Jim Bob and her name is Rachel Sue, and you're related. Then it might be okay. Only in Appalachia, though. This is a very restricted environment. Then she might be into it.
Well, the thing with the Joe Biden thing, it's creepy. It's probably going to hurt him a little bit.
Joe's creepy.
But it's not. We haven't had anything that's kind of risen to the level of illegal.
You know what? In Joe's case, I don't care. I really don't. And I know
I don't like him either.
No, it's not even that I don't like him. It's that this isn't even like a partisan thing. I have a strict rule as far as I'm concerned when it comes to principles. I am not going to have my principles used against me by people that don't respect them. If your standard, if your standard is believe all women, if your standard is accusations constitute basically a verdict that if you're accused, you're guilty, that's the standard I'm using for you. And sorry, Joe, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go to fucking jail, you fucking rapist pig. Fuck you.
You communist.
No, Joe. Like, sorry, dude. This is your standard. That if a woman accuses you, you're done. Now get the fuck out.
Do you listen to Ben Shapiro at all?
I listen to him occasionally.
Have you heard him ever talk about the whole like Republicans pounce meme sort of thing?
I mean, it is common, yeah.
Well, in the story I read about this, one of the headline, not the headline, but like one of the section titles was Kellyanne Conway pounces. And it's a way of saying Democrats do something bad and then Republicans condemn it.
Yeah,
but instead of making it about the Democrat doing something bad, it's, well, the Republicans are taking advantage.
Yeah, I'm just like, every time I see the word pounce in a non-conservative article, I'm just like, so they were right about something and you don't like it.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's what I know that the average reader is just like, oh, goddamn Republicans just taking advantage of everything. But I'm just like, I mean, I read from both sides and they were right and you just are upset. This is just sour grapes.
Yeah, it's always, they try to make you, I don't know how many people know this. Like, I know this because I've spent a lot of time studying English and reading and understanding like the words that are in any sort of piece of writing is very important. Sure. Especially with journalism, and I think people are starting to realize that more, that they put these words in there. These guys are highly educated and intelligent people. They're not mistakes. No one's making a mistake here when they say Kellyanne Conway pounces or Republicans pounce. They're framing it in such a way so when you read it, it doesn't come across as partisan, and they have some sort of like
wiggle room.
Yeah, weasel. They're weasel words, where they can
journalism nowadays is full of weasel words. Like, I've actually been thinking about once we get this all nailed down, I've been actually considering starting a second show where it's like just literally me looking at articles, stripping out all of the fucking emotive language, stripping out all of the opinions and all of that stuff, and just breaking it down to what would this article look like if they were actually just telling me what's happening.
That'd be cool, man. I'd watch that.
I'm just saying. I think it'd be interesting to get like just an absolute true neutral look at the news. Take some from the Daily Wire, take some from Vox, take some from Jezebel. See what the articles become if you just strip all this shit out.
Yeah. Just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts. That might actually be the show name. Just the facts.
There you go.
There we go. Credit goes to Cody for the name.
Apparently, I'm great at naming things.
You are. It's quite fantastic.
I named my wife's dog rescue.
I thought you were about to say you just named your wife, and I was like, wait.
Well, sort of. Like, she took my last name.
Well, I mean, if you named your wife, though, that gets into some weird, like, banjo territory.
I called it, like... Yeah, no. My wife is, like, 3-4 months younger than me. So I wasn't even old enough to talk when she was named. Much less know her family.
I got you.
Well, actually, her parents and my parents knew each other, but they weren't like... They were friends of friends.
Sure.
So... But we didn't really know each other. Anyway, Creepy Joe Biden. The thing, he posted a video, I don't know where, on the internet.
With his, oh my God, the apology.
He apologized.
Please stop apologizing. Like, this is actually one thing where I even feel sorry for Joe, because I'm like, oh my God, please, no, stop. The apology never makes it better. It makes it worse. Because I feel like whenever like a public figure apologizes, there's like a perception in their head of like, okay, if I apologize, people are going to see this, they're going to understand that I'm sorry, and they're going to let it go. That's not how that ever goes, because with the mob, when you apologize to a mob, then this is something that's been true for a long fucking time before politics in America, before all of this shit. When you're apologizing to a mob, they don't want you to say you're sorry. They want you to prove that you're sorry, which means they need some sort of like totem of contrition. They want you to do something that demonstrates your apology through action. They want you to like either give something up, or they want you to do something. They want something that they can point to in their own head and be like, okay, well, he fucked up, but he did do this thing over here. An apology is never good enough. Don't do it. If you're not willing to sacrifice something, don't fucking apologize. If you're not willing to actually be sorry and do something about it, don't apologize, because you're not actually sorry.
Right. Well, for me, it's you should only apologize if you believe you did something wrong.
Precisely.
If you don't believe you did something wrong, or if you didn't think that you were doing something wrong at the time, then don't apologize. Like I mean, it's hard because I find myself apologizing for things. Like I'll spill the milk and be like, oh my God, I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, and like, yeah, I get it. Like I spilled the milk, or, I spilled something, whatever. And it's usually not really a big deal, but it's not like I intentionally poured the milk on the floor. Like,
sure.
There's no intent there. So I don't necessarily have something to be sorry about. I'm just more sorry that this happened. But I think I had a part in it.
that's actually like an important distinction, though, I think.
Yeah.
When there's a huge difference between apologizing to your friends or your family and apologizing to people that don't know you personally.
Right. Never apologize to a mob.
Never apologize to a mob. Don't do it unless you're willing to give them what they want, which is usually your head in some way, shape, or form. They want your head. If the mob is coming after you, they want you gone. Unless you're willing to placate the mob in some other way. Otherwise, don't apologize. Face them head on. It's your only real option. You might get fucked up if you do, but if you don't, you're getting fucked up for sure. And I think this apology might actually be a real serious problem for his, because he basically just went out there and admitted everything you're accusing me of is accurate.
I'm guilty of it, yeah.
Right, because you're saying you're guilty. That's what in this case, that's what the apology is. You're saying I'm guilty, but times have changed and I'm going to do better. And it's like, okay, but you just said you're guilty in a case where you're being accused of sexual harassment on multiple cases. You just said you're guilty. You're fucked.
Right. I was gonna say something. It's totally brain fart.
Although, freaking, according to the media, he apparently gets a pass because I'm just like, oh, his tactile, affectionate style with women, and I'm like,
right, like there, of course, he's
it
Democrat,
literally, if this had been anyone, like not even because people always like to make it about the difference between Democrat and Republican. Hold up, no, hold on. If this had been anyone that wasn't like a Democratic frontrunner, anyone else, if it had been like a Democratic staffer, rapist, weirdo, loser, hashtag believe all of it. That's what it would have been. That's what it would have been.
Yeah.
Anyone else. And he's getting the celebrity treatment because he's like Obama's old friend and he's a Democratic frontrunner. And he's been he's been a popular figure on the left for a long time, even though he's, well, creepy Uncle Joe.
Creepy. Creepy as fuck.
Like, he does have a personable style. He's not a bad politician. Like,
right.
he's got a nice smile. He talks well. He seems very forward and, open. That's just sort of his style. But maybe not with women's shoulders and hair and foreheads. maybe draw like a personal limit around that, which he said he would do, which is great. But we've got like decades of you not doing that publicly.
Yeah. It's already on the record, buddy.
and you just said that you're guilty of it?
Which is why I could never run for office.
What, are you running around tapping women's foreheads?
No, but I admitted on a live stream that I was into pickup artist.
Oh, whatever. Like, at this point, because you got to remember, it seems like whenever they go after someone, it's always like, oh, look at 20 years in the past. Bleh. I mean, look, man, if you're going to get knocked out, it's going to be something that would come up anyway, regardless. I would say if you want to go for office, yeah, okay, you used to be a pickup artist. What of it? What do you want?
So what? Big deal.
Exactly.
It was huge. Got like a DUI and everything. So
whatever.
I have lots of stuff, and I would probably just be honest about it. And so I don't think I'd actually get elected because I'd be like, yeah, I did that.
I mean,
so
I don't think it, because there's like
probably not right, but I did it.
I think there's a perception.
Yeah, I called her a bitch.
I think there's a perception among politicians that if you're actually a real person and you own your flaws, that's going to like hurt you with the general population. People hate polished politicians. People don't like that. Like, maybe at some point in the past they did, but like nowadays where we can look in on our politicians and get a view into their life, like, honestly, I know it sounds cringy, but one of the best moves that Elizabeth Warren ever made, and if she actually wants to win, I think she should do more of it, was that live stream she did where she was just drinking a beer and talking about her policies. I know it sounds stupid. But it made her seem personable. And if she keeps doing it, it seems a lot more real.
She did it badly.
Which
is fine.
That doesn't mean that the strategy is bad.
As long as she learns how to do it well.
Yeah, if she learns how to do it well, I think that actually is a potent strategy. It's the same strategy that Trump has used, and to a lesser extent, it's the same strategy that AOC's used a ton. Just an absolute fuck ton. Where she's just like, oh, I'm just this bubbly girl, and I'm super popular, and people like me, and I'm cool, and just all of that, where like people feel like they know AOC as a person, so they trust her more, right? Even though they shouldn't. And
I hate her.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but like, if just looking at her personality, she feels like a normal person. She doesn't come off like a polished politician, and that's not a point against her, that's a point for her. Even if that ends up with her saying stupid shit sometimes. Because that's exactly what happens with Trump. Where he's more real than he probably should be in some situations, and he says some stupid shit sometimes.
Well, yeah, I feel like he just says whatever's on his mind.
Right. And that lends a point of honesty in his favor that I think most people actually like, in my opinion. I would love to see more actual people that are going up there and are still like, they know what they're talking about, and they're refined, and they're intelligent, and they're articulate. Great. but I want to see more Dan Crenshaws and less AOCs, please. Like Dan Crenshaw, I think is like the best example of someone that's like struck that balance the best. I think I would like to see him move more. I think he's the one that struck that particular balance the best out of all of them. I think he leans a little bit too heavily on the whole polished politician thing. I would like to see him become a little bit more personable. But
for me, he is what I want the Republican Party to go towards. That's what I want. Like if I were to point to any individual to say the Republican Party needs to be more like this guy, that's the guy I would pick personally.
I mean, he's actually not the only one. The Democrats have a couple of dark horses that they're not even talking about. I know this is completely off topic from Creepy Uncle Joe, but how much else do you really say about?
Not as far off topic as we were earlier.
Yeah, no, we were off on the fucking moon earlier. Anyway, but yeah, talking about that, I'm just like, okay, Tulsi Gabbard. I wouldn't hate a Tulsi Gabbard presidency. I think she'd be okay. Do I agree with everything she does? No. But would I be like tearing my hair out at the idea of a Tulsi Gabbard presidency like I would an AOC presidency? No. Andrew Yang has some weird fucking ideas, but I like him better than the other guys. He seems much more reasonable than the other guys.
If Tulsi Gabbard became president, you wouldn't be demanding revolution.
No, I wouldn't be like upset if Tulsi won. Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here like, oh my God, please no. Ironically, because this is something that whoever's actually listening to this may not know about me, I'm actually on the left. I know it doesn't sound like it.
Dun dun dun.
I know it doesn't sound like it at all. I am a social liberal. I used to be a very hardcore progressive, and not even that long ago. I was actually a Bernie bro, and I was very upset when Trump won. I kind of got over it.
I was so excited.
I got over it quickly when I realized the sky wasn't falling.
Yeah, like a normal person.
Yeah, I noticed like Trump was president for a few weeks, and I was like, this isn't okay. So we're okay.
The world hasn't ended. Huh?
The world hasn't ended, and then it was more like, okay. So I started looking more into him, and got more used to the idea of a Trump presidency, and I was like, maybe I overreacted. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't mind people like Tulsi and Yang. I actually like Yang. I don't like his UBI ideas. I think that's dumb. But
for me, it's like I've heard the argument. The strongest argument I've heard for like a universal basic income was from Milton Friedman.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even like, he was kind of warm on the idea, but he didn't really like it that much.
If I recall correctly, Milton Friedman didn't actually necessarily prescribe, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't necessarily prescribe UBI. He just liked it better than welfare.
Right. That was the point I was getting to, is that it was a substitute. It was a cheaper, more efficient way to do welfare than the current system of welfare.
Right. It's more efficient in the sense that if you just give it to everyone pro bono and don't even worry about it, just if you got a social security number, here's your monthly check, right? There you go. It's effectively like a tax refund monthly.
Well, his too was, if you make a certain amount of money, which is basically like a basic amount of money, then you don't get it. Because it wasn't just like an everybody gets it. It was, if you fall below a certain amount, they just give you money to live off of, and if you just blow all that money in a week, well, you're fucked.
Well, I feel like if we're going to do UBI, there needs to be some sort of incentive structure for it to actually produce people that want to improve their situation, right?
Well, yeah,
because if you just give everyone more than enough money to live off of every single month, you're going to get people that are just like, yeah, I guess I could go get a job, or I could just play video games.
Well, his was, and I have to rewatch him talking about it again. It's been a while, but his was like, you give them money, and then if they bring in money, you don't just take it away from them. continue to give them money, but it's like a smaller percentage?
Actually, I would do the exact opposite, because what I want to see is people wanting to make more money, because that's the problem we have with welfare right now, where if you get a job, you make less money, because the proportion from I have a job to how much money I'm getting in per month is actually negative. If I get a job, it takes a huge percentage out of my welfare, so I can't get the job. I've got to keep like the cycle rolling. I've got to keep like going through the loopholes to make sure I can keep getting it even past the recommended allotted time where it's supposed to cut off, because there's plenty of loopholes like that, trust me. But yeah, I think the better option for something like UBI would be the lowest bracket is actually at the bottom, right? And you say, okay, so this is the bare minimum bracket, where you don't have any income. And this is all like alongside things like disability. So if you're someone that does have disability, it's more of like a supplement as opposed to like a punishment. It's if you have no income, you get the lowest bracket. You make more income, we're going to up your bracket because now you're paying into your own UBI, right? So you deserve more of this. And then you just keep going up the bracket, and it actually starts giving you more and more up to a certain point where it's just like, okay, you're like a functioning member of society. Here's your monthly allotted check to make sure that, you know, your bills are paid and all that stuff. But other than that, you know, you're good. You don't need any more.
Yeah, you got to incentivize people
to move up that ladder.
Actually do the work.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what Milton Friedman was saying. Like I said, it's been a while and I'm probably not remembering it all right, but he had it like a way where you still get the money. Like it was like set at $2,000, and if you make, you know, $100, you still get 1,900. So you still get that 2,000.
Right, but
you're always just guaranteed that amount, but you just get less from the government.
I feel like that's a horrible
really
incentive structure.
As much incentive to actually do something.
Well, right, because I could make that $100 and make my 2,000, or I could just not and still make my 2,000. So either the UBI amount needs to be quite low, and it's just like, you know, helping. Like I would, if we're gonna set it to just this is just for, you know, welfare recipients to try and encourage them to get work, like you'd have to set it somewhere like 300, something that basically just covers, you know, electricity, water, internet, phone bill, and that's it. And, you know, put that alongside disability, because quite frankly, if $300 an extra a month isn't enough to help you, you've got bigger financial problems than UBI can help you with. Seriously.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, 300 extra a month for me at any point in my my young adulthood would have been a godsend. Seriously.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That would have been a fucking godsend, because there have been times where I've been concerned whether or not I'm going to be homeless. That's happened. Like that was me when I was like 20. I was stressed out all the time because I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can pay rent. If I had an extra 300, it doesn't sound like a lot. But if you're part of the working poor class, you're not the welfare class, the working poor, the people that work for their money and just make hardly anything.
Well, shit, man, $300 extra dollars now sounds like a lot to me.
Right. It's not really, but I mean, because nowadays, now that I'm making a lot more, I'm $300 extra dollars is just like, I mean, cool. You paid for like a car payment or two. Thanks.
You paid all my utilities.
Yeah, hey, man, it's not bad. It's just I'm not at a point where I really care anymore.
Yeah.
Which feels great, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. That feels awesome.
Yeah, once you reach that level, it's pretty badass. So I recommend everybody doing that.
Seriously. It does.
Well, like right now, I don't make a ton of money. I make enough to pay all my bills.
Sure.
And then I make a little bit more to where if my wife and I want to go out to dinner like once a month, we can do that.
Yeah. And that's how much more do you actually need at that point?
If I want to buy a gun, I can save up for like 6 months and then go buy a gun.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. Like either UBI needs to be very low, or it needs to be part of the incentive structure to get people back on the track to employment and participation. In like economic actual participation, not just, you know, basically just mooching off of welfare because it makes more sense. Because I don't even blame someone for mooching off of welfare. It makes more financial sense. And that's a problem.
Right. That's not the intention of
right.
that
The
sort of
idea
thing.
is it's supposed to be a stopgap to help you. It's not supposed to be the be all end all where you just stay on it forever. I want you to have a purpose. I want you to have a job. I want you to have a life, which is made much easier by making your own money. It really is.
So, talking about terrible governmental programs.
AOC.
Well, that's not where I was going.
Huh?
That's not where I was headed, but we can go there if you want.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you? Where were you going with that?
Closing the southern border.
Oh, let's go there. That's fine.
I
didn't mean to mess up your transition.
No, it's good. It was so good it could be 2 transitions.
That's right. Good job. All right, southern border.
I don't have a ton about this.
There's not a whole lot to report just yet, really.
Yeah, like Trump threatened to close the southern border, and when I was in Texas talking to some of the other guys who were at the hotel,
sure,
none of them liked it, and they were all like business people, you know.
Yeah.
They all thought it was a bad idea and that like the economy is doing really well, and to do that will damage the economy a lot because we do a lot of business over the southern border. And
I just wish people would stop freaking out because this happens every time where Trump has some idea for how he wants to get his wall, and then he just like, I'm going to do this, and then everybody is like, oh no, he's going to destroy the economy, and then he doesn't do it, and like, and then we fucking yeah, we do this all over again every single time. It's like he's throwing spaghetti against the wall. Tell him why you don't like it. He's listening. I promise. The man is on Twitter constantly. Fucking tweet him.
He's got a Twitter chip in his head.
Like, seriously, the man, I have no idea how he absorbs this much Twitter without fucking going insane. I really don't. But yeah, like with all the business owners, because you're right, there were a lot of business owners, because I live in Texas, so I'm aware that there's a lot of business people out here that are like, oh God, please don't. Please don't. Not good. Right. I do a lot of business with Mexico, because Texas does do a lot of business with Mexico. We do. They're an important part of our economy. Texans like Mexico. For all the shit we get for being like, oh my God, they just hate Mexicans there. Bitch, have you seen our Hispanic population?
They're half Mexican.
Well, no, it's not. But like, seriously, Texas has a pretty large Hispanic population. It's not like we just hate them here. We're not running them out of the state. We do a lot of business with the Mexicans. We do a lot of business with Mexican nationals that come here to do business. It's an exchange. And shutting down the border would be a problem.
Even the company I work for ships parts to Mexico to be made into trucks that are then sold in the United States. So, I mean, that's my dog in the fight, I guess. But Trump,
except for illegal immigrants, Texas actually has a pretty healthy relationship with Mexico.
To me, that's my only gripe with Mexico, I guess, is that, and I don't even think it's necessarily like Mexicans coming across illegally, though it is part of that. The biggest problem I have is that they allow people from other countries to just move through theirs in order to get to the United States. And I think that's what Trump is trying to address here, because he wants Mexico to do something about those immigrants that are just using Mexico essentially as a freeway to get into the United States.
I can't. Is Mexico even capable of it? Because with the whole with the migrant caravan, Mexico did try. They just weren't able to.
They didn't try very hard.
I mean, okay, sure, maybe they didn't, but like they did put up barricades. The Mexican military did go down there. They tried. It just didn't work. And I'm like, that says some pretty bad things about y'all's security forces. And it makes me think that they're not actually equipped to handle that. And that's kind of a problem in and of itself, that, you know, maybe the solution isn't to chastise Mexico for something they're not capable of. Maybe it's time for us to like look at Mexico and be like, hey guys, we have a lot of troops we're not using. You guys do you want some of them? You know, like on a temporary basis?
Look,
like,
what if we give you a little bit of money or a little bit of support, and then you can build the wall?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, if I was going to build the wall anywhere, because I mean, yes, is illegal immigration coming from Mexico a problem? Yes. But I mean, if we were going to put a wall anywhere that's going to stop a lot of this, how about on the border of southern Mexico?
Yeah.
That's a lot cheaper. That's something that we could probably work out with the Mexican government and be like, look, we know you guys are, we're not even going to get into the fact that you're complete hypocrites about illegal immigration. Because y'all really don't like some fucking Guatemalans, and I don't want to hear it. But like seriously, fuck y'all with your oh my god, the Guatemalans are invading Mexico. How do you think we feel? Fuck you. Anyway,
wait, you
yeah,
mean like South Mexico is invading Mexico?
No, Meat Mexico is invading Mexico.
Oh, Guatemala's Meat Mexico. Okay.
No, that's actually Argentina. They get some Argentinians too, but
Oh.
I think it's Argentina. I need to go look at the map again.
Let's go look at the map.
I need the map. Hold on. I need to pull up Facebook. No, I'm joking. But yeah, like maybe we should just work it out with the Mexicans and be like, look, you don't want people invading the south of Mexico. We don't want people using you as a freeway to come here. How about we just like work together? We'll put like a wall that's like 2 miles out from the actual border of southern Mexico, set up a whole bunch of, you know, embassies and consulates and stuff there so people can get in touch with the proper authority. So because we both know that most of the guys coming through Mexico want to come to America. If they want to apply for asylum or whatever, maybe we need to set up facilities down there to handle that so that they're not applying for asylum on our doorstep where we have to deal with it here.
Right.
Maybe address it over there so if that we need to transport them back to their home countries, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more expedited, and just offer them support staff, offer them funding, just offer them, you know, the assistance they need to make this happen. Because I think that that's a problem we're having right now, where it's a very binary way of thinking. It's like, if Trump doesn't get his wall, we're fucked. It's like, is that the only option? I feel like there's some more creative options that need to be explored here to solve the problem. Because right now, one of the major problems we're having is caravans. Because I mean, is Mexican illegal immigration an issue? Yes, but it's also an issue that we've been dealing with for decades. It's not exactly new. It's not really an emergency. This is the longest emergency I've ever seen. Like, holy shit. Like, this is not new.
It's a problem.
Like, it is a problem that needs to be addressed over time, but nobody seems to have the will to deal with Mexicans coming into the country. And it doesn't seem to have caused that many problems. However, the caravans just showing up with like thousands of people on our border, that is an issue. That seems like there's a much easier, cheaper, and more like generally acceptable solution to everybody. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just my idea on it. I don't know if it's even feasible, because again, you'd have to work it out with the Mexicans, and maybe they don't want to do that for whatever reason. Who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you hear about how corrupt Mexico is with all the cartels and everything, and they might as well just be the government at this point. Yeah, I don't know how much of that is. Actually, I did know a guy who was from Mexico, and he said, like, if you live out in the country, it's not so bad, but the closer you live to the city, government officials are just as corrupt as the cartels. And then, and I've heard stories of people who traveled to Mexico, and the police officer like pulls them over, and they have to essentially pay their fine right there.
Yeah.
They're just taking a bribe, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had a friend who he went to Mexico, and he was walking back to their hotel or something, and they were out drinking all night, and he really had to go to the bathroom, and so he went into an alley and peed in the alley.
Sure.
Well, the police officer saw them and, you know, brought them over and said, well, you're under arrest for whatever, but you're wearing a really nice watch,
Oh,
if you just give me that watch.
oh, that's shitty. Yeah, from my because again,
The
living in
watch.
Texas. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You were breaking up a little bit. It might have been on my end. I didn't hear what
Gotcha.
you said.
I was just saying that I actually do want to take the time to go visit Mexico. I'm actually learning Spanish right now so that I can interact with the locals better.
Woohoo!
Because I feel like I know some people disagree with me on this, but I'm just like, look, if I'm going to go travel to a different country where the primary language isn't English, I should probably take the time to learn their language and be able to talk with them on their terms. To me, that's just polite.
Right.
I don't know. That's just me because I don't know. It's just different going to a European country. I'm not going to
You
worry about learning
dirty,
Italian.
filthy Texans.
How dare I take the time to learn Spanish? Racist. I guarantee that's racist somehow. I don't know how, but
All the
somehow.
people, when I was in Texas, I'd never been to Texas before this week. I was
Sure.
there for 4 days.
Were you?
Everyone's
Oh,
just,
fun.
yeah, I was there. I went, I arrived on Monday and then
Oh,
I left
I thought you were only
Thursday.
here for a day. I should have like if you had. Oh man, I didn't know that. I would have come visited. But anyway,
Yeah. A couple things I noticed when I was in Texas is one, compared to Oregon, it's real flat. At least the
yeah,
area I was in
yeah,
near Dallas. Um,
true.
Two, you guys have toll roads. We don't really have those in Oregon.
That's mostly Dallas. Like I'll say
Yeah.
that that's mostly Dallas and Houston, and Austin has a couple, but you don't really get that anywhere else.
Okay. Well, I didn't know, and so I didn't pay for the toll pass for my rental car. And so I had to call when I got to the hotel, like, I think I went on a toll road. Can I buy the pass? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. This happens all the time. And then another thing was anytime someone sneezed, someone would say, God bless you.
Yeah,
That
that's
doesn't like
sounds
people in
about right.
Oregon, people where I'm from, they may say bless you, but they won't say God bless you. And so like I noticed that. And then people were just like friendlier, or they seemed more, I mean, not necessarily like the people in Oregon aren't unfriendly. It just seemed, I don't know, like easier to be more friendly.
You hear that? I get that a lot when people come to Texas.
Because I went out to eat, and like the server was like, "Hey, hun, how's it going? You know, like,
Mhm.
what are you gonna order?" And not that waitresses in Oregon don't ask how's it going or anything like that, but they don't call you hun. No one says anything like that.
Yeah, it's
some
definitely much more personable.
some people get offended by that, and I think they just need to go out in a field and sit on it because I think it's nice. You know, I'm not like, oh, don't call me hun. Come on. It's like, it's a term of endearment. Like, they're just being nice.
Dude, some people get so bent out of shape about it, and I'm like, look, if you're actually upset about this, why?
Yeah.
It's like a Southern thing, dude. It's normal here. And I know, like, if you're not from the South, okay, like maybe you're not used to it, but come on, it's really not that big a deal. Like, okay, fine, maybe it's just because I'm from here and I'm just used to it. Maybe that's it. But I'm just like,
Maybe.
why does anyone care? I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't care. I thought it was cool. I thought it was nice. And I talked to, like, not everybody in Texas has an accent either.
Did you think we did?
No, I didn't think everybody did. I mean, I talked to you, and you don't really have a Southern accent, but there were some people that did. Um, yeah, it was a cool experience. There wasn't really a lot to do in the area I was in, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of time to go out to like see the sites or anything like that. But it was like the people were really nice, and it was really cool, and nobody seemed, compared to Oregon, Texas is probably has more diversity.
Well, yeah, anywhere where the progressives are magically turns into a whole bunch of white people with the black people off in their own little neighborhood.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Because diversity.
Diversity. We have a black neighborhood.
Yeah, look, they have their own neighborhood away from the white people. So diverse. And we have a Whole Foods here. And there's no crime in our neighborhood.
I did see the Whole Foods, and I did go into Walmart. Like, you got to go into a Walmart. You get a feel for the people if you go into Walmart.
All right. Oh, hell no. You're not judging us by Texas Walmarts.
No.
Look, I'm just going to preemptively defend our Walmarts because I know what Texas Walmarts are like.
Dude, at least you have Walmarts. We don't really have them.
What? Really?
We have one that's like 45 minutes away from where I live. That's kind of out in the more rural area.
Huh.
And then we have one that's like on the other side of Portland. But other than that, we have like a Walmart grocery, but we don't have like a Walmart store. People here hate Walmart.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. Like,
I mean, why? I can't blame them, but at the same time,
so
yeah. I mean, like, I guess it's more of like a PR thing because especially in a lot of blue cities, basically whichever company has the best PR is the one that's going to do the best. It's the same reason that Lyft does so well in Austin. Like, everybody is all about, oh my God, Lyft is so amazing. And don't get me wrong, I like Lyft as a company too. But like, I'm not going to boycott Uber just because they, are dicks sometimes. Just look at the prices, you jackasses.
Yeah, make a educated decision.
Seriously, not a fucking emotional one.
Like, you always hear, like, oh, Texas is just full of a bunch of redneck hicks. And I'm like, well, probably parts of Texas are.
Yeah, Texas is full of redneck hicks, says people that have never been to Texas.
You could probably say the same thing about Oregon, like if you go to certain parts of Oregon.
Of course.
So, I mean, Texas was nice, man. The weather was nice. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold, and the people were really friendly, and they were. I mean, nobody was. I didn't see anybody wearing MAGA hats or anything like that, but they seemed to be pretty. Like, the people I talked to, at least, seemed pretty reasonable. And the people that were in the training I was attending, some of them were from Texas, and they, it's totally like. They weren't it was a diverse group, I guess. And I hate using that word because it's just been done to death. But we had, like, the person teaching the class was from Cincinnati, but she was originally from Taiwan. And we had a couple, there's only 7 people, but we had a couple black people. And then a guy from India. And a guy and a girl from like somewhere in Texas. And so if you think like, oh, this right wing state is just super racist, it's like, go there.
Yeah, seriously. Because if there's one thing I've figured out from living in Texas, it's that you want to know how to get like a diverse city, a diverse economy. Have a strong economy. This is something Texans have known for a long fucking time. Because you want to know, like, the area I'm from in Texas, like, here's a list of all the groups that have like a strong presence in the area that I'm from, and I don't want to name it because, I mean, the internet. But there's a strong Tongan community, which I guarantee you, half the people listening to this, especially if it's like a progressive, I would be shocked if you knew where the fuck Tonga was. Seriously.
I do not know where it is.
It's near Samoa. Like, it's a very strong community. Like, Tongans and Samoans are very well represented in like football because they're fucking huge. Which is also why we had a great football team. So thank you for that, guys. But regardless, so Tongans, Koreans, Jews, white people, black people, fucking, there wasn't really a Japanese like community there. Really, it was mostly Koreans, which is incidentally why I'm very good at telling Asians apart, because Koreans are kind of like the middle point in a lot of different ways. Because you get some people that are like, I can't tell Asian people apart, like as far as like what nationality they are.
Yeah.
Get raised around Koreans, it becomes real obvious. Like I was just raised around everybody in like out in Dallas in one of the suburbs, and it's like, so I got a more diverse education than any of these fucking progressives in a supposedly racist city in a racist state.
What the fuck? Of the KKK.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, this is so stupid. So stupid.
Well, yeah, it's this sort of like revisionist history. It's like, I don't know. Did Texas have like a big KKK presence?
I mean,
I know Oregon did.
Well, yeah, it's a Democrat state, but
well, it is now.
Well, I mean,
when
Democrats
always been
KKK,
yeah. But well, Oregon's constitution originally didn't allow for African Americans or mulattoes to move into the state.
Shit.
It was in the Constitution. We're progressive.
Christ.
We're super progressive.
So progressive.
But we also had a Republican when Lincoln was president. We had a Republican congressman or elected official. When the Civil War broke out, he raised troops and went and fought in the Civil War and was killed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but Texas didn't have like a super strong KKK presence, but I mean,
yeah,
we're also very close to, Mississippi, who did. Yeah. So, and Louisiana and Alabama, who also had a very strong, so does Texas have a racist history? Well, I mean, yeah, we're still in the South. I don't know what to tell you. But are we super racist now? Not as far as I can tell. Not unless you're fucking intentionally going out to like the boonies, where it's gonna be more racist, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like if you get out into an area where nobody's seen anyone except their own skin color their entire fucking lives, yeah, they're gonna be suspicious of other groups. Dun dun dun. Couldn't tell you that. But yeah.
Where I grew up, we do have a large Hispanic population.
Sure.
I grew up in a town called Hillsboro, and we always called it Hills Barrio or Hills Burrito.
Gotcha.
It's a little racist, but like Hillsboro is actually a nicer town, I think, than Portland is. It's a lot smaller, and there's a lot of you go into not downtown Hillsboro so much, but if you go into more of the main, where the freeway is, where all the shops are, a lot of the shops are all the signs are Spanish. They're not English at all. But it's once you get into the residential and the downtown Hillsboro area, it's super nice. It's really clean. Everyone really friendly. There's not really a homeless population. It's well maintained, and it's a small local community, and it's mostly Hispanic. And if you go to the next town over, it's mostly it's probably 50% Hispanic as well. And I think Republicans, and I do think they're actually starting to win over some of these groups, especially in Oregon, is that they have more in common with an immigrant from Mexico than they would than the immigrant would have with the Democrats.
Oh, I've been saying this for a long time, that the Republicans need to start actively talking to the Hispanic population and being like, look, I get it, we don't agree on immigration. We agree on everything else, though. Everything else. We pretty much agree.
Totally agree on it all. They want to take away your Jesus.
Like, maybe the Republicans do need to do a 180 and pull the rug out from the Democrats on the whole, like, you know, we're gonna set up these programs to help people that want to come in, like specifically from our neighbor country Mexico that we love you Mexico, and just like completely pull the rug out from under them and just trying to like sort of back end the illegal immigration by being like, look, how about instead of worrying about illegal immigration, we try and increase legal immigration from Mexico specifically, partner with them, because I mean they are an important trading partner. That's the long and short of it. If anything, like I wouldn't hate the idea of Mexico actually joining the United States. That wouldn't be the worst.
No, I'd be fine with that.
I don't think they want to, but
no.
At the same time, I do think it is relevant for us to recognize, especially we have like sort of a double standard when it comes to our northern and southern partners or like our borders, where it's like, all right, so the Canadians, regardless of race, can pretty much do whatever they want with the border. And then our southern border, it's like we treat it like a problem, and I get it why, because it's like it's illegal immigration. We don't want them doing illegal things. We don't know who they are. That's fair. I get that. Maybe the solution isn't what we've been doing for a long time and clearly isn't working. Maybe what we should be doing is actively trying to incorporate the people that come here and being like, look, we know you're here illegally. Instead of deporting you, here's some English classes. We are putting a ankle bracelet on you because we need to know who you are and where you're going. But let's get you some English classes. We're gonna like help you get some. We're gonna put you in these programs that I don't think should be like Mexican specific. I think it should be like just generally. Here's some job skills classes that we're basically putting through a nonprofit that's government funded, and like here we want people to get skills. We want skilled labor. So we're going to help you and everyone else get some skilled labor so that you can apply to be a citizen at some point, like create this pathway to citizenship that's like helping the poor Mexicans that then will bring the wealth back to Mexico, that produces jobs and business that will come back to us because we do a shitload of trading with Mexico. I think if we like work with the Mexicans, this can be a win-win, but the Republicans are very set into, no, we need to get all the illegals out of here. It's like, maybe that's not the right solution. Maybe there's a better solution that can get you the Hispanic voters, that can take it away from the Democrats, and to make an argument for the Republican voters that, okay, yes, they're here illegally. How about we solve it this way and make them and get them to become legal the right way of their own volition, you know? Convince them to join us instead of telling them that you will join us or else, right?
We had, in Oregon, we had a couple Hispanic, they're Republicans, like they're Republicans, and they both ran for office and they didn't win because they're Republican. Okay. Yeah. But I volunteered for the campaign on one of them, and I met the guy, and super smart guy. He was in the military, you know, and he's got kids in the community, and he started out pretty rough where he had a kid at like 16 and had to like get a job and everything, but he turned his life around and he's made something of himself and couldn't win in the state because he's a Republican, even though he's Hispanic. But I did see it. Like there are Hispanic Republicans.
Oh yeah, no. Come to Texas sometime. You'll find tons of them.
The one issue that they have, I think, with Republicans is that they don't understand the immigration question isn't nuanced enough, or the solution isn't nuanced enough for them.
That's actually, I think that's kind of fair. Personally, if that's their contention, yeah, I actually agree.
Well, that's kind of my feeling.
Oh my God, I'm going to end up becoming like a fucking progressive Republican.
We used to have those, man.
Oh God, that's going to be weird.
That used to be a thing.
Holy shit. I'm applying I'm going to go talk to the GOP tomorrow and be like, have I got a fucking pitch for you?
Teddy Roosevelt, man.
Have I got a fucking pitch for you? I'm just going to take this shit by storm. I've got all these ideas that the Republicans can take and run with them. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to win y'all every fucking election. They're going to kick me out for talking like an idiot. And it's not going to be fantastic. And it's going to be the opposite of fantastic.
You should run for office, man. The Republican Party needs people, at least in my state. and I'm not willing to do it. So
the Republican Party needs like new blood with like ideas, like actual ideas to be problems that aren't just the same old talking points that they've been using for decades. It's really frustrating because they've got their head in the right place.
Party became more conservative.
I like where the goals are going because I understand what they're trying to do, but it's like you can't sell people on a solution that we've been trying for decades and hasn't really produced results.
Right. Well, the Republican Party, when it's founded, it was like they had disaffected, like anti-slavery Democrats and Whigs and Republicans and all that stuff. And then there was a progressive, like you had liberal Republicans and conservative Democrats, and then the more like, I guess this kind of is all the parties switched, which I don't buy so much.
No, I think that's a talking point, honestly. Like I know in some ways they switched, but in a lot of ways they stayed exactly the fucking same. So yeah.
But yeah, like the more conservative people went to the Republican Party and the more liberal or progressive people went to the Democratic Party. But then now the Democratic Party's just gone completely insane in my
Well, yeah, now because everybody telling me, oh, the parties have switched. And it's like, yeah, they switched so much that now you've got Democrats that are pro-segregation, pro-sexism, anti-miscegenation. Like, wow, so progressive that it sounds exactly like the Democrats, the pro-slavery Democrats before the switch, quote unquote switch.
We should look at their platform from before the Civil War and then compare it to the platform they have
now. We actually should. That maybe that should be next week's stream. Honestly,
we could. I mean,
we could actually just do that. That would be really fun. Just look at how much they still agree with half of this shit. It's like, oh, so progressive. We should give them like a progressive. We should give like the pre-Civil War Democrats like a progressive rating of like 1 to 10. How progressive were they? Oh man, that would actually be kind of fun. I would enjoy that. But anyway, we're running a little bit long, so let's talk about some AOC.
Yes.
There's not a lot to say. People hate AOC except for Democrats because they're stupid. No.
Yeah. There was a poll. Do you know who did the poll? I didn't look into it too much.
I don't know actually. I would need to look into it. But I mean, nobody seems to be contesting the source, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, there was a poll done and her popularity was super low. So most Americans. Well, yeah, she didn't win. Like, she didn't get a mandate. No. She won because nobody else showed up to vote.
Pretty much. Like she had a whole bunch of people that were just like, yay, AOC, and then everybody else was like, I mean, I guess I could vote or not. So
like, oh, a Democrat's going to get elected and they're going to go, so it doesn't really matter which one of you goes.
Pretty much. Sadly, it does matter. People, it matters. Seriously, it matters.
Voting matters.
Yes, please vote. Jesus Christ.
Vote down ticket if you don't want to vote for the president.
Something. Like, honestly, I just want to see people voting. I don't care if you vote for Mickey Mouse. Please vote. Because, I mean, I know it sounds stupid when people say that, but, like, look, when it comes to voting, the amount that, like, the percentage of people voting is the percentage of the population that the politicians actually give a shit about. Straight up.
Pretty much. They have what they want.
Well, yes, because it means that you're someone that actually shows up to the polls. So which way you vote matters. So if we like had like the dream scenario, 90% voting record, you want to know what happened real quickly? Shit would get done because the politicians would actually have to answer to the people in general. They would have to sit there and go, okay, if I don't do what you guys want, I am getting voted out because there's just too many of you that are voting now.
Well,
even if you just vote for Mickey Mouse, at least you're showing up. So if you care about something, they know you're at least going to vote against them. At the very least, you become a spoiler vote.
Well, I'm watching something from Hillsdale College about like how Congress has changed since the founding.
Sure.
And Congress originally was designed to create laws, and the laws were like more specific, and they actually debated like a lot. Like the law was like, oh, you can't, like, just for an example, you can't own a cannon or something like that. Let's say they wanted to make that a law.
Sure.
And then they would actually debate in Congress about the merits of that law. But now, a lot of those sort of laws, like the legislative power has been moved to the executive branch, not the president specifically, but in like the different departments, like the Department of Energy or um, EPA, like those sort of things. They're the ones who are making like rules and regulations, and then people have to follow those. And
Sure.
what Congress does now is that they pass sort of like ideas, like the Clean Air Act.
Mm-hmm.
We want clean air. Is like, so they give like the overall mission statement. They don't actually legislate something, and then all the rules and regulations have to be put in by these departments. And so it kind of alleviates Congress from the responsibility of actually making laws.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to actually, and politicians love it because they get all the credit for saying we need clean air. We want clean air, so we're going to pass this Clean Air Act. They get the credit for that, but
And they
then,
don't do shit.
well, but then when the laws are put into place to try to make that happen, it's like people see, well, the EPA did this, and like I lost my business. I've gone out of business because I can't afford all these inspections and rules and regulations and everything. So they're mad at the EPA, but not at Congress.
Mm.
So they don't have any. They get all the benefit, but without any of the risk, essentially.
Pretty much.
So
It's really sad.
I don't think I'm not finished with the whole series, but I don't
It sounds
think.
spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend. It's free. It's 100% free. So if you just go to Hillsdale College, you can watch some of their lecture series. And it's a guy he's got like a PhD, or he's a college professor, I think. And he's written a couple books and highly educated. And it's done really well. Like, it's interesting. They're only like 30-minute videos. So it's not like you have to sit there for hours kind of trying to absorb this stuff. They make it really simple and easy
Good.
to understand. But that's kind of like blew me away to think about, well, Congress has kind of abdicated their legislative responsibilities. And so they don't really do anything. They just
Yeah,
pass like broad general statements.
I agree. It's a whole bunch of showboating, honestly.
Well, then why do we even have it?
That's a good question. Why do we even have it? We need to talk about the aid that Trump isn't sending to Mexican countries anymore. Mexican
Yeah,
countries such as Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. I
those
know
are
the
Mexican
transition is
states,
usually your
right?
thing. Yes, I know the transition is usually your thing, but when I thought of that one, I was just like, oh, too good.
Right.
Uh,
I saw that and I just laughed. Like, I don't watch a lot of Fox News,
dude, that
but
one was so funny. Like, you've probably already seen me posting the memes on Facebook.
yeah.
But oh man, oh, they're so good. But yeah, it looks like there's not a whole lot to say here because it just sort of ties into the border. Um,
Yeah.
it's just he's Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. They're not they're not keeping the people in their country. They're not managing their shit properly. So no more money. And I agree on the principle of it that, like, why are we paying you guys if you can't deliver on your promises? It's a very CEO move to make. It
Right.
really is. Which may or may not be the right decision, but
Well, people were trying to say it's not the right decision because now these people are going to have less, and then they're going to want to come here more.
like I get that. Um, I think we should take the money and give it to Mexico to build a wall on the southern border.
There you
on
go.
their southern border that is much smaller, much more manageable. Look, Mexico, I'm saying we will give you Coast Guard, we will give you support staff, we will give you whatever the fuck you need. Just help us out here, please.
Well, I would if I were talking to somebody and they said, well, if we take the money out of these places, more people are going to come here because they won't have money. Then I would say, well, our quote unquote charity, what we're giving them is just kind of covering up their problems so they don't have to deal with them. Like they need to, if there are problems where people, if I was talking to a guy on the plane on the way home and he saw that I had the Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life book, and he owns his own company, and he's kind of he's never heard of Peterson, but he said he reads a lot of like self-help and nonfiction kind of like businessy type books.
Sure.
And he's a big proponent of the whole like you take responsibility for yourself kind of philosophy. And he's told me like if somebody quits, if you're the boss and somebody quits, you just got fired as the boss, essentially. They fired you.
Yeah.
Like you don't lose your job, but they're like saying you weren't a good enough boss to have me stay. Now, even if they moved across the country or something, you still didn't provide them enough incentive to stay where they were for your job. You're going to
job, yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of how I'm thinking of it is, well, if these countries aren't doing well, they're not doing what the people want. They're not serving the interests of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So the people are leaving. Us giving them money is just keeping the status quo going so that it won't get worse.
Right.
But then it doesn't give anybody any sort of incentive to do better. Kind of like the welfare thing we were talking about.
It's a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Clearly, because I mean, they're saying that we need to give them 500 million each, or people are going to keep coming. And it's like this sounds like an extortion racket. First of all, second of all, like again, we've got a gunshot wound and we're putting a Band-Aid on it. So our two solutions are effectively rip off the Band-Aid and hope for the best, or keep throwing Band-Aids on it and also hoping for the best. At the end of one of these scenarios, I've got a box still full of Band-Aids. Because either way, I have no way to solve the gunshot wound. I don't have a solution here. But at the end of the day, I'm more prepared if I get like a paper cut, if I've got my full box of Band-Aids, and you're none the worse for wear, because either way, you've still got your problem that I can't help you with, clearly.
Look, what would solve this problem? Some good old-fashioned imperialism.
Just pretend they have oil. Send in the helicopter.
They got oil. Well, let's go make their country great again.
America. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole if I were the head of a government and people were fleeing the country, I would think I was doing something wrong. Like at some point you have to realize something's not right here. Like if people are so desperate enough to march across another country and then risk crossing the southern border with all that entails, possibly getting sick, getting diseases, murder, sex trafficking, getting raped, getting robbed, and having no recourse for justice. You just got to keep going or die, essentially. If it's bad enough where you think, yeah, that sounds better, then you got a real problem, like what is wrong with these governments? Like you have to consider, are these governments legitimate enough? I mean, I
clearly not. If we need to send them that much aid and they can't even keep people in the country because they're fleeing because the poverty is so bad that it's like a refugee crisis situation.
It's like you're funding corruption at that point.
Yeah, seriously, for fuck's sake. Like, we're just lining the pockets of dictators, and maybe we need to let it get bad enough that the people say, this place fucking sucks, let's do something about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you have an alcoholic who's broke, and so he gets sober and cleans up his act. The worst thing you can do is just continue to give him money to go buy alcohol, or a drug addict to go buy drugs.
Well, yeah, this
Like,
is something
you're
Jordan
just
Peterson
supporting
talks about.
the habit.
Yeah, this is something Jordan Peterson talks about, where he just lays out, look, if you've got someone that's got a serious problem with, addiction or these sorts of things, the last thing you can do, the worst thing you can do is give them a shitload of money. That's the worst thing you can do, because it makes the problem 10 times worse. And there's plenty of evidence that just giving someone money and saying, clean your shit up doesn't work. Like, ever. Like, ever. So,
you need help. Here's a bunch of money.
yeah, seriously.
It's like, oh, great. Now I can afford my addiction. Thanks.
Speaking of cutting people off, Chick-fil-A getting kicked out of fucking. Okay, no, I really wanted to go for the transition there.
Yes.
It was a good one. Speaking of cutting people off, Chick-fil-A getting cut the fuck out of a whole bunch of fucking airports all over the place because apparently they're horrible homophobes.
Oh, is that it? They're still beating that drum?
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. That's the entire thing with the Chick-fil-A getting kicked out of all of these different places and airports, and because San Antonio did that recently, and I'm just sitting here looking at San Antonio like, what the fuck, guys? But
there was a Chick-fil-A in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport.
Well, I don't think then clearly Dallas Fort Worth didn't kick out Chick-fil-A. I don't know what to tell you. San Antonio did. Turns out Dallas and San Antonio, not the same place, as we're about to discover this story. Yeah, apparently they were citing their, I guess, discrimination as like the basis for kicking them out, and everybody's looking at them like, gay people can go to Chick-fil-A too, right?
Right. It's like,
gay
where's
people
the
can
discrimination?
That's not the same thing as one of the higher ups not being a whole big fan of, the gays and the marriage.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
a whole
thing, guys. By the way, ask their employees sometimes how they enjoy working for Chick-fil-A. As far as I understand, the whole Christian company thing, not so bad. They get Sundays off, guaranteed. The management is cool. Like, if they have a problem, it gets dealt with internally, and it's fine. Like, as far as I can tell, working for Chick-fil-A is actually kind of great.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, I already get Sundays off, so it's.
But I'm just saying, especially for a fast food worker, that, like, let's be honest, most fast food jobs suck.
By comparison,
so any fast food job that doesn't totally suck donkey balls sounds pretty good. Like, maybe we should be encouraging them.
We should get some Chick-fil-A food and then rate it on the show. I've never had Chick-fil-A before.
Have you never had Chick-fil-A?
No, I've never had it. We've never had one in Oregon until recently.
It's really good. You should give it a shot.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, just get like the original. Just get like the #1 deluxe. Just if you don't like pickles, because I don't like pickles personally, you can get those taken off. It's fine.
Okay, good. Fuck pickles.
All right. Hey. Yeah, fuck pickles. Anyway, the cheddar cheese on there. Get like a cookies and cream milkshake. Fantastic. But
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. Chick-fil-A is actually, when it comes as far as fast food goes, Chick-fil-A is pretty fucking good. But
all right, I'm doing it. One of these live streams, I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A right before, get some Chick-fil-A, come home, and I'm gonna eat it live.
Like, I'll just handle the actual live streaming. You're just gonna fucking get on your phone. Good drive while we talk about stuff.
I'll just live stream it on the channel on like a Wednesday or something. Here I am at Chick-fil-A.
So I just went to Chick-fil-A for the first time. I can taste the homophobia. It's delicious.
It's the best. Everybody loves it. Them followers of Jesus know how to fry a chicken.
You just walk in, get a selfie with one of the employees, and before they can react, just be like, "Fuck the gays," and take the picture real quick. Just completely.
Now here's what I'm going to do.
Screw with them.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my MAGA hat, go to Chick-fil-A, and just film myself in my MAGA hat eating Chick-fil-A. And then I'm gonna burn a copy of Mein Kampf. I don't know, just something to throw people.
That's weirdly. All right, well, I guess you can.
America, baby, I can do whatever I want. That'd be a good like midweek something to do. Yeah. But yeah, that was
channel to at least get something moving on it.
Yeah, that was really all we had. It's 9 o'clock. We've been at this for 2 hours. I've been up since 1 in the morning, so I'm running out of gas quickly.
Oh, okay. Well, I think
mouse died.
it's probably time to just go ahead and wrap it up. It is already 11 my time.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, sharing, likes. Trying to get some more. I think we're up to 45 subscribers now. So woohoo! Thank you guys. Slowly but surely.
We're going to take over the world in time.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it right. You know,
Chick-fil-A gives you a free shock therapy with every small fry.
We have to get him on at some point.
At some point, yeah, we really should. I thought you were working.
Yeah, if you should email or message me on Facebook or something. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Then I could send you the link. I don't know how to get a hold of him other than that.
Yeah, we should actually at some point. We need to start making like an actual Facebook page for the show. Make like a Minds page, Twitter page, all that stuff. Make sure it has like links to the USA Liberalists and all that. But
the USA Liberalists has a page, and that's what I share it on now. But we can do one specifically for this show because I'm talking to another guy who wants to do. He said he wants to do a show on the channel, or he might want to do a show on the channel too. So I'm talking to him right now. He said he's going to make a video, and I'm going to watch it and see how it is, and then try to help him out. You know, not that I know a ton more, but I've actually done live streams, so I guess I know a little more than he does. But
it's a start, yeah. Slowly but surely.
Yes. So we will build this empire together, guys. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here at the beginning. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we will see you guys next week.
All right.
Peace out.